Yo, what is up everybody? Jump in here, and today I am back on some Diablo 3. I'm going to be showing you my level 60 Whirlwind Sprint build for the Barbarian. I call it the Tasmanian Devil build. Let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty guys, so I'm going to go ahead and start with my skills, and I'm going to show you some of my gear. And finally I'm going to show you some gameplay to give you a general idea on how I like to play this build. Now the Whirlwind Sprint build's been out for a long time. It's really popular on PC, and I didn't use it for quite a while. Then I decided to try it out, and yeah, it's absolutely amazing. It works really well on the console version just like it does on the PC version. So here's my take on the Whirlwind Sprint build. Now for my primary attack I'm using Bash. The main point of this is just to generate as much fury as possible. That's why I use the skill rune that allows me to generate 4 additional fury per attack. So it becomes a total of 12 fury per attack, and just by bashing a couple times you will build up your fury to be ridiculous. Now for my main attack, it's going to be Whirlwind. What this does is that you spin in a circle, you hit multiple enemies. It's really good. Now for the Whirlwind Sprint build to work, you definitely want to use Hurricane, because what this allows you to do is that you will maintain your movement speed as you're whirlwinding. So it's a really good combo when you combine it with Sprint, because Sprint will increase your movement speed by 40% for 3 seconds. Now for Sprint, you definitely want to use Run Like the Wind. What this does is that as you're sprinting, or as you're whirlwinding, you will throw out tornadoes, and the tornadoes will do 60% weapons damage, and it lasts for 3 seconds. So this definitely helps you offensively as you're using your whirlwind attack, and the whole point of this build is that it is an amazing AoE build for hitting every enemy and killing everything really quickly. Now for my Y move I'm using Battle Rage. Now this is really important. You have to use Into the Fray. What this does is that as you have your Battle Rage on, critical hits have a chance to generate 15 additional fury. It works a lot like certain wizard gear, like some of the wands or offhands will say that you have a chance on critical hits to generate arcane. It's the same thing. I don't really know what the chance is, but I do know that this does happen a lot. So as you're whirlwinding, you're going to be gaining fury, and that's going to allow you to just keep whirlwinding. You can whirlwind for a very long time if you can keep getting this effect off. Now for my B move, I'm using Warcry. Really like Warcry because it helps you defensively. It increases your armor by 20%. You and all your allies within 50 yards. So that is really good. Now what I like to use on this is Charge, because it makes it so that I can get 40 fury from using it. It has a 20-second cooldown. But what's cool about it is that as you're whirlwinding, you can use it to help you continue to whirlwind. So that's really important. Now if you don't have a really high critical hit chance, you could also use Overpower. If you're going to use Overpower, you can go for Killing Spree. Overpower has a 12-second cooldown, and this effect lasts for 6 seconds. And what it does is that your critical hit chance is increased by 10%. So that is actually really nice. Remember, you have to have a decent critical hit chance because you want that for your Into the Fray ability from Battle Rage. So that's something you could do, but if you already have a decent critical hit chance, I would recommend Warcry instead. Now for my RB move, I'm using Wrath of the Berserker, and with this I'm using Insanity. I really like it. It's just like my other build, my Hammer Spam build. With Insanity, it increases your damage while you're in Wrath of the Berserker by 100%, so it's really good for taking out elite packs, champion packs, and also bosses quickly. Now on the PC version, a lot of people will use Thrive of Chaos. Now this is really good because for every 25 fury you gain, it extends your Wrath of the Berserker by 1 second. Now when you're using this, you're basically going to be relying primarily on your Battle Rage with Into the Fray. Now on the PC version, if you're playing MP10, there's a lot of enemies on screen. The console version, not so much. So I find it really difficult to keep this going on the console version compared to on the PC version. So I definitely would recommend Insanity instead, just so that you can take out those elite packs, those champion packs, and bosses as well quickly. Now for my 3 passives, I'm using Ruthless, really good. It increases your critical hit chance by 5%, and it also increases your critical hit damage by 50%. I'm using Weapons Master. Now, Weapon Master, this does a lot of great things. If you're using a sword or a dagger, it increases your damage by 15%. Maces or axes, it's 10% critical hit chance, which is really good. Pole arms and spears, you get 10% attack speed. Now, most of the time, you probably won't be using a pole arm or a spear. But the one I've been really digging lately is actually Mighty Weapons, because it actually allows you to get 3 Fury per hit, and that's what I'm doing right now. So basically, if I'm trying to use Whirlwind and I'm hitting enemies, I'm gaining 3 Fury for every hit, and that's actually like really amazing. Now for my final passive I'm using Bloodthirst. Now, to be quite honest, you don't need this if you already have a weapon that has damage convert to life or whatever. So like a Bone Saber or something, if you have one of those, you do not need to use Bloodthirst. Instead, you could use Animosity, which just allows you to gain more Fury and also extends your maximum Fury. Or you could use another really good one called Brawler. Since this build is all about getting into big groups of enemies and using Whirlwind, this is actually really amazing because you get a 30% damage increase as long as there are 3 enemies within 8 yards. And that will pretty much be almost always the case. But if you do not have a weapon that has damage convert to life, then I would definitely recommend Bloodthirst. Alright guys, so now I'm going to go ahead and show you some of my gear. For my main weapon, I'm using a Bocastro's Warrior's Blood. I really like this weapon, and I'm using it on my main hand because of Weapons Master. This is something I would maybe recommend trying. Remember, with Weapons Master, if you have a mighty weapon on your main hand, you're going to get 3 Fury per hit. So it's definitely going to help you maintain your Fury so that you can keep whirlwinding and keep sprinting. So that's the reason why I use it, but there's a lot of other great things you can put on your main hand. If you have a sword, like a Bone Saber for example, you can actually get 15% more damage. With a mace, like an Echoing Fury, you can get 10% more critical hit chance. So that's some really good effects there. But one thing I've been doing is using that mighty weapon because I really like that Fury gain. Now for my other weapon I'm using an Echoing Fury. Really great weapon. Unfortunately, it has the chance to fear on it, and I hate it for that. But in general, I do think the Echoing Fury is a godly weapon, one of the best in the game. It's just unfortunate that some douchebag decided to put that fear chance on it. Now for my gloves, I'm using some Immortal Kings. These Immortal Kings are really good. For my shoulders, I'm using 7 Sins. Now most of these items you might have seen in my other build videos, so I'm not going to sit here and talk about a lot of them. Like for example, my Immortal King's chest. Don't really need to talk about it. It's really good. Minpo of Twilight. Now I'm using a ruby in there because I like the bonus XP. I try to get my Paragon level as high as possible because that will help me get more better items in the future. For my necklace, I'm using an Ouroboros. For my bracers, I'm using some Laguni Prowlers. For my rings, I'm using a Hellfire ring. Now I have a better ring than my Hellfire ring, although this Hellfire ring is pretty good. But once again, I really like the bonus XP because that way I can actually level up my Paragon faster. For my other ring, I'm using a Bocastro's Wedding Band. Now this is a new ring, and this ring is super good. And a lot of these Bocastro's Wedding Bands will be really good. It comes with strength, attack speed, life percentage, critical hit damage, and critical hit chance. Really godly ring. For my boots, I'm using some Bow Anglers. For my pants, I'm using some Blackthorns. Now these Blackthorns are just amazing. I have 450 strength on it with 374 vitality, and I also have the life percentage. So it's just really amazing for life and damage. And then finally, I'm using a Pride Belt, which I think the Pride Belt is probably the best belt in the game. The Witching Hour is really close, but when you're talking about a Barb, the Pride has to be best in slot. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it for my gear. Now I'm going to show you some gameplay so you can get a general idea on how I like to play this build. Alright guys, so now let me go ahead and show some of this gameplay with my Whirlwind Sprint build, or what I like to call the Tasmanian Devil build. If you can't tell right away, this is a ginormous mob, and I am just destroying it. I get a 51 Mighty Blow, which is pretty insane, and if you pay attention to my Fury, I don't even lose barely any of it as I'm whirlwinding. I give a large amount of credit to my mighty weapon in my main hand with Weapons Master, because you have to remember I'm gaining 3 Fury per hit, and since I'm getting so many hits, that's a lot of Fury. And of course the Into the Fray bonus from Battle Rage is also helping quite a bit as well. Now what I like to do generally is I'll use my War Cry to get my Fury bonus, which is 40, and that will allow me to immediately use my Battle Rage. Now Battle Rage only has a 1 minute and 20-second duration, so you got to make sure that you at all times you have that going. So just keep that in mind. And as you're using your Whirlwind, you definitely want to keep using Sprint. Now you can use Sprint to move around the map pretty quickly. Unfortunately though, I kind of feel that if you're going to use that, if you're playing with teammates, you can kind of annoy them because the movement speed of this barb is so high that no one can really keep up with you if you want to just run through the map. And that can be kind of douchebaggy slash annoying to your teammates. So generally I only like to use it in combat. Now the amount of AoE damage that you can inflict with this build is absolutely insane. When you come across elite packs like right here, you should definitely use your Wrath of the Berserker. Remember, because you have Insanity, you're going to kill elites and champions really quickly, which is really nice. Right here, I'm just going to continue to mow through all these little spiders. I love killing these spiders because they're so easy to kill. Plus, you can get some huge mighty blows as you're using this. I definitely think that the Whirlwind Sprint build is one of the best builds for Paragon leveling and just playing with teammates. Right here, this is another massive mighty blow. Absolutely insane. 53 mighty blow. That's a new record for my barb. So that was really cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, the build itself, I definitely do believe this is the best way to set up your barb. So this is what I would recommend. Just remember some of my tips and some of my strategies. I also have a new Witch Doctor build, the Zero Dog build. If you want to see that, please leave a comment. But besides all that, I really hope you have enjoyed this. Be sure to like and favorite the video for me. I really do appreciate that. You can subscribe as well for more Diablo 3 content and share the video with Google+. I really hope you guys have a nice day, and peace out.